All right. You have to do the introduction. I'm talking a normal.
Like a normal voice, not in a fakey voice?
No, you can talk in a fake voice. Just talking a loud voice.
Oh, okay. So this evening. But yeah, but I don't want to have to like yell and shit.
Well, don't yell and shit. Stop using...
P.S. This podcast will definitely contain swear words. Okay, so...
The heck it will.
So we're
I thought we got an introduction.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. How you doing out there? All right, let's get it started.
All right, so we watched a movie tonight.
Yes, we did.
And,
what's the name of this podcast?
Movies and shit. This is a podcast about real movie reviews. So you have
REEL.
So you have the guy who likes art house stuff.
Yes.
And imported Korean horror cult movies.
He doesn't.
And then you have me who likes awesome movies like Batman and Gladiator.
Which, although it would be an awesome movie, doesn't actually exist.
Oh shit!
Batman and Gladiator. Batman.
Awesome.
I'm a gladiator.
Okay.
We're detectives.
So you can probably hear Tony there paging through a big glossy book.
Hello.
Which is one of the Taschen big glossy books of
movies. You want to introduce yourself? Who are you?
All right. I'm Cree, and you're Tony.
God.
We're the Cree and Tony show.
You get first billing?
Right. So
okay.
I know good movies, and Tony knows lots of movies.
Yes.
So we were paging through this Taschen book. It's 100 movies that are most popular, not most award winning, and so out of them, Tony had watched 99, and then of the 3 he didn't watch, even though the math doesn't add up there was maybe 1 that I'd be willing to watch. So I thought that'd be a good idea, because usually when I want to watch a movie,
boring,
it's an awesome movie, and Tony wants to watch stuff like The White Ribbon, which is awful.
Fantastic.
So we watched the Blade Runner, and we
watched the Blade Runner.
The Blade Runner.
We watched the Blade Runner.
All right, we watched Blade Runner, which apparently we already own, and it's a Blu-ray. It has 5 discs.
Yeah, it came with our.
It's in the
PS3
genre
for free.
Total super nerd.
Holla!
Is the type of movie this is. So Tony had to sit down at the computer and do some research and figure out which version of the 5 versions we were supposed to watch.
And I hit on the first one. It's called The Final Cut, and it was done exclusively for the Blu-ray release. And apparently it doesn't add any more footage or anything, but it is supposed to be the vision Ridley Scott wanted. And it's been a long time since I watched this movie.
You watched it? You told me you didn't watch it.
I lied to you. No, I watched it a long time ago, and I did not like it.
Okay.
But I don't remember why this was different.
So the best thing about this movie, right, is Dale Hannah...
What's the movie again?
It's The Blade Runner. So Dale Hannah is dressed up like a crazy white mannequin, and then she does some flip-flop arounds, and she lands on top of Harrison Ford, and she tries to squeeze him to death with her legs. And then she has weird doll-like movements. That was good.
Yes.
Rutger Hauer.
Yes.
He's kind of a badass, and then at the end he's all like, "Wah, I'm dying. I'm not gonna kill you because of wah." That was alright. So we were both pretty impressed with the fact that this was pre-computer special effects.
This is 1982.
But it looks pretty good. I mean, every so often you would see something move that was like, oh, that's a toy held on a string and it's moving a little jerky. But for the most part, the appearance was pretty slick and pretty I guess high budget looking. Which from this time period, stuff maybe that was low budget ends up looking more high budget because they shot it more gritty. I don't know. That's the kind of stuff you were saying. All right, you say some stuff about the movie.
Oh. All right, well, first of all, you watch Blade Runner. It's from 1982. It's a USA-produced feature. It's 117 minutes long, and it is directed by Ridley Scott. With From the novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, which is again an awful title. Blade Runner is much better.
And an awful name.
Thank you, William S. Burroughs. William K. Dick.
Seriously.
Wow.
Right, keep going.
And it stars Harrison Ford, who's neither Han Solo nor Indiana Jones, nor regarding Henry. No, I remember watching this. I think I've actually seen it like 4 times, but like when I was in high school, and each time going, what the F? Why is this important? Why is this any good? What's the deal? Because I really did want to see a sci-fi actioner with Han Solo and Indiana Jones doing all sorts of daring do, and this is not that movie. This is a very slow. It's a film noir. I mean, this could have been a black and white thing, except for the actual mystery, which there really isn't one because they already know all the players. Except for the actual theme of it, it looks like Philip Marlowe or something like that. It has that kind of feel to it.
Yeah, it has a little bit of the Dark City, or Dark City. If there's not supposed to be a the.
Yes.
Where it's futuristic, but it's got that sort of dark retro vibe. It's raining all the time. I don't know what that symbolizes, but it's raining all the time in this movie. So it's very damp. It's a movie with a lot of dampness. It's actually raining outside tonight, so it worked out pretty well all around.
It was like surround sound.
Yeah. So
what's your point of that?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's deep, though.
Were we supposed to go for 10 minutes? We should probably put a 10-minute timer on this.
I'm pretty sure people will be delighted to listen as long as we have things to say.
I'm sure.
So Harrison Ford was like not much of anything in this. I don't think. I mean, he wasn't a badass, and it was weird because they set up the whole movie like, hey, you're the guy that used to be the best Blade Runner of all time, and now we have the worst robots running around, and we need you to come back and kick their ass. And he was like, okay. And then he just sort of pounced around and did some real basic detective work and didn't do too much of anything, and I don't know, eventually sort of killed them more by luck, a couple of them. And then the last one just ran out his clock. Oh, this has teaser ruiners in it.
Yeah, but if you want to see this movie and you haven't yet, it was made in 1982, so I think the teaser alert thing is probably kind of moot by now.
Yeah, later in the movie, the music and the soundtrack and stuff seemed to gel. Earlier, it seemed to be a soundtrack that was like a commercial for the effects, like, hey there, look at this special effect I'm doing. This is so cool. As opposed to anything that was going on in the movie. So that was jarring to both of us a little bit.
It was Evangelos who did the Chariots of Fire soundtrack. So a lot of synth and a lot of that, which kind of made sense. But yeah, it didn't fit at first, and then after a while it did, and they did the whole Hindi noises in the background, and it was like, this is used constantly now. It's when there's slow motion gunfights, they have the call to prayer or something, and I think this is probably the first time they used it, and it's pretty effective.
Well, they had like 3 sounds going on. One was, hey, we're doing about music about the future. So here's the future stuff. And then there was the multicultural, because it's only non-white folks that apparently live on the bottom surface of the earth in this movie. So.
Oh yeah, in fact, they have the cast list here in our big book of big books, and we use a lot of real punks for the street scene. This is a quote now from Ridley Scott. We used a lot of, and this is a direct, exacting imitation of Ridley Scott. We used a lot of real punks for the street scenes in Blade Runner. Because they had so much crowd, it was better to save time and money by recruiting a huge number of extras. 200 punks, 100 Chinese, and another 100 Mexicans.
And so, yeah, then you interrupted my foray on the music.
Your foray?
Yeah, my foray.
Okay.
My foray into the discussion.
Go ahead.
Musical.
Go ahead.
Motifs.
Do it.
So you had your like, hey, I'm in a science fiction movie, and then you're like, hey, I'm in the Chinese / Hindu / everything else movie, and then the hey, I'm in a film noir movie. So they were all a little competing, but that was fine. Like there was always something to look at in the movie. Like many movies, which fade to black. No, the set design, the costume design. I mean, it was definitely very 80s, very very punky, or whatever was going on in the 80s. But they had some good stuff. Looking forward, you can't really at this time period. You can't really get past the fact that. And I was thinking about how these days with science fiction, we are able to. I don't know. They're able to computer animate projections of what future screen types and computer interface types will be. And even if they imagined in the 80s what they would be, I don't know if they had the tools to fake them up for the movies. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I do. I'm just surprised that this is the kind of thing that you have a hard time with. Like, was there... the screens in the movie. This really wasn't a documentary. I didn't have a hard time with it. It was just something I noticed because they really kept coming across all of these screens. What are the old-fashioned TV screens? Yeah, old CRTs. Matrix. Yeah, I mean CRTs, limited graphics and stuff. And so today, like, what was that? Short man jump on couch. I can see the future. I'm a time cop movie. Lady lives in a tub. I like it. We watched it several times. If you could guess this at home, you get a free T-shirt. It's Cree giving the thumbs up. She's talking about Minority Report.
Right, Minority
Report.
Report.
Take up on couch and be Tom Cruise. He lives in a tub.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Anyway,
wow.
so Minority Report...
This is the kind of thing that I go through. 12 years of marriage, ladies and gentlemen.
But with Minority Report, when you first saw it, it was like, he had all this... He had screens that were not like, I see in my daily work life. These enormous screens, they were all, motion controlled, and they were multi-layered, and, you could see past them. They didn't look like computer screens that we use today. And there's movies about the future where they have like little tiny paper phones that are disposable and shit like that. So what I'm saying is we have the capability now to project out fairly realistic, I think, possibilities of what future technology will be. And at this time, what would they have done? If they could imagine like flat screens and the type of computer graphics you use today, how would they have faked it? This is a question to you.
How would they have faked it?
Like, how would they have faked it? Like, you would just use computer effects now. How would you fake, like, anything other than the simple little screens and...
It would take a lot. It would be like projecting on a piece of plexiglass or something like that. It would be... they'd add it in later with visual effects somehow. Like in Tron or something.
That's just what it made me think. Like, did they have was there a sense at that time of where technology would go with... visual technology, or was it just like they think we're going to have CRTs all the time, or just this isn't a thing we bother thinking about? We've got these sitting around, we've got old TVs all over the place, so we just stick them in cars and pretend that's what the future looks like. What?
These are great questions.
These are totally great questions.
Set designer. So what...
How are you not thinking about that?
Because it has nothing to do with the movie. I mean, I could come up with something like this movie had, it was also very dingy. It was things that were decaying. Mm-hmm. Maybe they do have big screens somewhere that are flat, but not where these guys are living. These guys are using the old technology. These guys are using my parents' technology. They have rotary landlines.
Fuzzy.
Anyway... So I guess the biggest thing that I took away from this was the fact that there is no villain in this. Ponder that.
Mr. Big Science Guy is clearly the villain.
Why?
Because A, he got rich, and all people who are rich are villains. I mean, we're in America. That's how things work. If you have money, you're a villain. Also, good clues, as we know, if you own a brandy snifter, you like to smoke cigars.
Yes.
You're done.
He did not have either of those.
Evil. But he did have big, crazy glasses.
Well, again, my parents.
Okay, so at the end, all I was thinking earlier was, hey, robots. And then at the end, there's a lot of talk about DNA. So what are these things?
They're replicants.
Yeah, what's underneath? You got like a wire infrastructure and then, some sort of alphabet soup, skin plasma jello going on?
Again, these aren't any questions I can answer because they don't have anything to do with the movie.
But some of the language towards the end made it sound almost more like they were, short-term loan clones.
Right.
As opposed to a robot concept.
They are humanoids.
Right, but those are really two different, you get different rules for these things.
Anyway, so
I mean, a cloned human potentially, has got some potential rights in him. Over here, you have a robot that thinks it used to be a child.
Do you have any thoughts on this as a movie? Like, did you like the movie?
Yeah, it's all right. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Why was it good?
Because it didn't make me go during most of it. It wasn't super sappy.
Right.
I did like, although I don't agree that there's entirely no villain. That is pretty close. There's no cartoon villain. There's no like absolute.
No.
There's no villain in the movie that just adores being evil for the sake of evil and is a pure sadist, like most idiotic movies have. Hey.
So this was more like the White Ribbon.
Oh, no, this is not like the White Ribbon because it had guns, it had chases, it had shooting, and assorted cool shit like that.
Yeah.
Where the White Ribbon had. And then at the end, I never visited the village again, and no justice was had, and life went on, and everything sucked forever.
Right.
That movie sucked. This movie was pretty decent. Yeah, I mean, for when it was done, I thought the look of it was pretty great. Harrison Ford was not an unrealistic cop because he really did not have any superpowers. Nobody was entirely ludicrously evil or ludicrously anything. I would have liked a little bit more explanation on the tech, but it was an interesting concept. I like the idea that they had that these were loner robots. Mm-hmm. They set a clock so that they pretty much exploded at year 4.
Right.
So there's no question of immortality being something that has to be leveled before humans versus robots can take place. So that was interesting.
One of the big questions was what's his name? Not Deckard. Rick Deckard. Harrison Ford. Was he a replicant himself? Is there any evidence that points to that?
Slightly. I mean, he had that super sexy date rape of the robot, which was like, oh, you really must like them robots.
So a guy that goes to hookers like, man, he loves hookers. Is that what the thinking is there?
Yeah, if you make a point of showing it. I mean, you could think, it's like, this is okay. You have 2 hours. You're not going to show somebody's entire lifespan. You're going to pick out backstory elements that pertain particularly to that character's highlights.
Sean Young is potentially hot. I think she's odd.
This is a whole other subject.
I think she's odd, but I mean, I could see where he would be attracted to her. She shot a replicant that was attacking him. I mean, she's not without feminine wiles.
No, she's an awesome robot.
Yeah, so I mean, but she's practically human.
Right? What's your point?
So, I mean, is it really out of the realm of possibility, like, that he would dig this robot?
Like, that after knowing her for 40 minutes?
That's like, unlike any other movie that's made. All right, what I was thinking
What are you
of...
saying? Are you saying, does that prove that he is, in fact, a sleeper cell?
No, that wasn't
robot?
the my point at all. That was your point. That's how you knew he was a robot, because he digs robots.
No, I don't necessarily think... I think that also could be the point of, like, how disconnected he is from the stream of humanity, and how he's divorced himself from his job as a cop, and he has no clear identity, and now he's going to float off into this dubious temporary future with a robot that's clicking down our years and minutes.
Aren't we all robots clicking down our years and minutes?
Oh, the dogs are growly.
Oh.
Awesome.
No, I was thinking of the unicorn.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the unicorn. That is pretty gay. So unicorns represent A, Christ, B, virgins, and what else? I don't even know what they're supposed to do in this show. I like the origami. That was nice. But
Did you get the connection there?
unicorns came up a couple of times.
I think they came up exactly twice.
Exactly twice? Hey, Smackers.
The unicorn was in his vision, right?
Right.
Just kind of traipsing through the place. It's a spoiler alert, by the way. There's a unicorn in this. And it's just traipsing. It doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's playing the piano, kind of. Or he's at least tinkling on the keys. And then it happens at the end where Edward James Olmos makes origami of a unicorn.
Just
right?
totally unrealistic, because later in his career he was not into origami at all.
Oh, they didn't show it. Plus all the corners on Battlestar Galactica are rounded.
Mm-hmm.
So he... Remember at the beginning when Harrison Ford was telling Sean Young about her memories?
Mm-hmm.
And he was
They're
like,
fake.
this happened, this happened, this happened. And she's like, yeah, that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he knew the memories because he saw something. He saw her records. So this guy knows the unicorn thing that's embedded in Harrison Ford. And it was his way of telling him that you're a replicant too.
How does he know that? Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
What?
When does someone convey a unicorn? Oh, you mean the other cop that does
the other
unicorn
cop.
origami?
Yeah.
Is telling him he's... I don't necessarily think so.
I'm saying he could.
You know, I mean, what's the point then? You're like, all right, we shoot all robots on site, well, except for this one who pretty much did it.
This one is the best.
Job.
He's the best guy for the job. He's made especially for this. He doesn't know he is, just like Sean Young doesn't know she is. She starts to suspect, he never does.
Yeah, I suppose.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
also,
honestly,
the movie starred William Sanderson, personal friend of mine, as the toy maker.
Right. Old Daryl there.
Larry,
I forget. Okay, but no, that does not make sense. Because, dude, if he was the replicant created solely for the purpose of hunting down these other replicants, he would have at least been not such a poussoir. I mean, he could not run fast, he could not grapple fast, he could not shoot fast. He had no special skills that you would give someone who was a custom-made robot hunter.
Yeah, this is a custom-made robot hunter that's not as sophisticated as the new ones he's chasing.
Yeah, but he's still, you know...
Case closed.